It may not be training camp, but it's Bears rookie camp, and it is over. And we are rocking and rolling through this past weekend and what all these new Chicago Bears rookies had to bring to the field in shorts and t-shirts. Welcome on into the Bear Report podcast. I'm Steven Johnson. He is Zach Pearson. And Zach, pretty darn good weather for a May rookie training camp, or mini camp, I should say. Not usually the case in this neck of the woods by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, well, rookie orientation, as Ben Johnson likes to call it, coach's orientation as well. But yeah, it was nice weather. 3 days up there at House Hall. Still hate that they do it on Mother's Day. But yeah, I mean, it was good to be back out in the football field. It's a chance for Ben Johnson, the coaches, to see their players and the players and players getting the experience around Hallis Hall. But honestly, we're going to do a takeaway show here, but there really wasn't much. The practices were pretty short. Like there was very limited 7-on-7. And honestly, Ben Johnson said it's an orientation essentially. You get in there, you meet people, you learn your way around the building, and you go run around for about an hour out there. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the other fun thing, got a little behind the scenes from the Bears video
Yeah.
team of what they go through and like their first day and getting measured and all the fun things. Makes me want some fitted shoes that fit
Yeah.
properly and are all like techie and whatnot. But hey, we'll get to everything that we took away from rookie camp, and again, a lot of excitement for the Bears, as we all know, based on the new coaching staff that is now in place, as well as the rookies that the Bears took away a few weeks ago at the NFL draft. But first, on Wednesday of this week, we are going to break down the Chicago Bears schedule as it releases on Wednesday night. However, a couple games have already
Yeah.
been leaked or announced, I should say, not leaked, but announced by the NFL. And the Bears getting a couple big games put into the schedule. They are going to be playing the Philadelphia Eagles out in Philly on Black Friday. That is an Amazon exclusive game. So they do not get Thanksgiving, which honestly I'm a little bummed about because I
Yeah.
just enjoy the Thanksgiving game and it makes the day go by a little bit faster having the
Yeah.
Bears play, but now they get the day all to themselves against the defending Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because it is the standalone game. It's like the start of the end of the college football season. So there's like a bunch of rivalry games that day. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a tough game. 2 p.m. Central Time kickoff. Be on Amazon. Yeah, that was one of the two games that were announced today. But doesn't it kind of feel like? Do you remember when like the schedule was released like the week after the draft and they just like didn't even do a big show or anything like that? It was
It's
just
just
like,
yeah,
yeah, here you
here it is.
go. And now it's like, Good Morning America is doing a one. Fox is doing a reveal, and it's like, it's crazy. And now, like we look at it, it's like Amazon has a game, Netflix has a game, like YouTube TV. I think they rumored it or they have the Brazil game, I believe, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and then like you have obviously, the Thursday night games, and you have Netflix is getting Christmas games, and it's such an event and it's crazy. But yeah, so two games, the first one, Bears at Eagles on Amazon, week 13, Black Friday, the standalone game. And I believe like the last two Black Friday games have been stinkers, haven't the only two? They've been stinkers, right? Like the Jets and Dolphins a couple years ago was
And
bad.
then Chiefs Raiders last year,
Yeah, that was a
and the
blowout,
Raiders almost
wasn't it?
won. That
Oh,
was the
did
game
they?
the Raiders almost beat the
Okay.
Chiefs.
Oh,
And there
okay,
was
yeah.
the mishap towards the end that they just the clock management, which
Oh, that's right.
we know all about
Yeah.
clock management in Bears land, but that
Yes.
was I mean, still, the Chiefs were a stinker in that game, but
Yeah,
it managed to make itself entertaining. But
that's right. I
that's
forgot
that's
about
the
that.
bar that the Bears and Eagles have to clear.
Yeah.
But that second game, the
Yes.
first for Ben Johnson at home against the Green Bay Packers, and it is a technically prime time game. It is by
Yeah.
itself on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday.
It's weird. It's weird. It's like it's a 3:30 or a 6 o'clock kickoff. TBD, apparently.
Yeah, December 20th, Saturday, December 20th, in the lead up to the Christmas week games. There is going to be a Bears-Packers game on Saturday afternoon. I understand it. It's late in the season. They want more eyes on it. I hate Saturday games so much.
Yeah.
It
Well, and it's
throws off
also
my
like,
entire week.
isn't it also the college football playoff? It's I
Are
think
they
it's a
starting it that
semifinals.
early?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the
Oh, man.
semifinals. Yeah, so
Well, yeah.
it's I think there's 4 college football games on that night, something like that, and there's 2 NFL games. So yeah, it's a weird one. And back to that Eagles game really quick. This is from Kevin Fishbane. It's the first Bears game on a Friday since 1990 or 1966 when they lost to the Rams. So yeah, so now the Bears have a Friday game, they have a Saturday game, they're gonna have a Sunday game, obviously. They'll probably have a Thursday, and they'll probably have a Monday, and they'll probably have a Christmas Day game too. So it's like the NFL is almost every day during the week now. But yeah, you get the Packers at home, week 16. Who knows? Playoff implications maybe on the line for one of the two teams or both, and we don't know just yet. But last year, the 4 teams that played on Christmas Day played on the previous Saturday. So I
Which in
think
this
that
case
tells
lines
you
up to be Packers, Eagles, and Bears, Commanders.
Commanders, yeah. Which it makes sense because the NFL doesn't want you playing that Sunday would be it's Sunday, Thursday this year. Last year was Sunday, Wednesday or something like that. But yeah. So I don't know. I think we're gonna see the Bears on Christmas Day, and yeah, I said 4 primetime. I made a guess today, 4 primetime games, 1 Thursday night, 1 Sunday night, 2 Monday night, and I said either a Christmas or a Thanksgiving game. And I think we're kind of on track for that.
It's wild to think that too, that we're getting such a screwy schedule. It seems that way, at least. And like you said, the NFL is pretty much every day of the week now.
Yeah.
And just how much it's spread itself out, trying to be in front of people 24/7. The schedule release is a big part of that as well.
Yeah.
Everything that happens with the NFL has to be a spectacle. If it is the Commanders Bears on Christmas, like, that will ruin my holiday. I know it will, and I don't want to think about it, that it could potentially happen, but here we are. Man, I'm not feeling it. I am not feeling it at all.
They're tough, dude. These are gonna be. I mean, obviously, primetime games are tough, but like you said, Christmas. If it's the Commanders, that's a tough one. Eagles on Black Friday, and then the Packers now late in the year, so that kind of sets up maybe a favorable early part of the schedule. But like they'll probably have the Ravens either on a prime time or like one of those standalone game of the weeks on Sunday afternoon. I think the Bengals will probably be another one like that. Cowboys, I would probably say. Trying to think who else.
Well, here, let's pull up the opponent.
There you go.
We got it right here. Look at that.
Well, so Raiders and 49ers will be 325 starts because it's out that's out west. Then you got, the Eagles already got there. If the Commanders are on Christmas, let's say, then you got, at Green Bay probably early in the season. I think they'll give Detroit and Chicago a primetime game, probably at Detroit. I'm guessing Ben Johnson returns. Yeah, it looks like a tough schedule early on, but things change between now and September.
Yeah, I mean, outside of, I'll say 5 games on the schedule: the Giants, the Browns, the Saints, the Raiders, and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
The rest of the games are going to be rough. In San Francisco, a lot of people are expecting a down year.
Yeah, but you're out there.
It's San Francisco, exactly. And the Bears have never, ever played well out in San Francisco.
Even when they win a couple years, even when they beat them a couple years ago, they didn't play well. And that was a game the Bears. That was 2018 when the Bears should have rolled them around
Yeah.
Christmas. I mean, I
Yeah.
think like Pittsburgh's got an okay chance to. I mean, I don't think it's a hard game. I don't think it's an easy game though. It's kind of one of
No.
those toss-ups.
Yeah, and to the fact that defense is still the Steelers' defense,
Yeah.
and that's going to be that's really what the engine was for them last year. We still
Yep.
don't know who their quarterback's going to
Yeah.
be. It easily could be Mason Rudolph.
Oh, God.
I mean he's there. I couldn't tell you
Why?
who else is on that roster.
Yeah.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers. They'll get Aaron Rodgers back in Soldier in a Steelers uniform.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think of that.
There is that possibility, and who knows what else we might see. We'll probably see Russell Wilson in a Giants jersey.
Yeah.
Whoever's going to start for the Browns.
Oh, God. Take your
know.
pick. What do you 6 quarterbacks on the roster, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting schedule.
Yeah,
It's interesting. I think it's also good, we'll talk more about it on Wednesday. It's also now a chance for fans to like, okay, this is the game I want to go to. This is the game I'm targeting. They got some pretty decent road destinations. Like they're not terrible. Like Vegas obviously is Vegas. Get to go to California if you want to go see San Francisco. Washington, I mean, DC, there's a lot of stuff to do there. Baltimore, it's cool to kind of see Lamar, but yeah, I probably, Philadelphia is a tough one for opposing fans. That one's kind of brutal. So yeah, but no, we'll break it down more on Wednesday. But yeah, it's just good to note that there's actual some games now starting to line up.
it's becoming real.
Yes,
becoming real.
So then we get a couple weeks off here after June, and then it's
all systems go.
Yeah,
all systems go.
right.
We got Wednesday night, so we will be back with a live reaction for the 2025 schedule release. So until then, we're here to talk about some rookie minicamp that happened over at Hallis Hall. And for all the hype, it felt like a whimper over the course of the weekend. Nothing really to scream out and say, man, look at this. And the coaches, I mean, they get their quotes in, they hype up everybody, talk about the potential of everybody that can get on the field, what they bring to the field, and then the promising quotes from the rookies. And it's just, this year just felt lackluster, which is kind of weird to me. All things considered, with Ben Johnson now at the helm in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at a couple ways. So, like he said, it is, it's the rookie orientation. So, but still, even like past years, even our Eberflus, I felt like there was more on field, like 7-on-7 stuff. With Nagy, there's probably more 7-on-7 stuff. There just wasn't a whole lot this year. And it was pretty much warm ups. They did their individual drills. They practiced a couple of 7-on-7 reps. They did some special teams, and then it was over, essentially. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty basic at this point in the year. Still, you'll see on Twitter, everyone's overreacting onto clips from different teams and different players. It's hype season, man. And, I don't know how many takeaways you can have that are legit in terms of on-field stuff, because you just don't see a lot. Like, we saw John Jackson catch 2 passes on Friday and Luther Burden catch 2 passes. Well, okay, John Jackson, he's the second year in the league. He should be catching those passes. Like, Luther Burden was drafted second round. He should be beating undrafted, defensive backs. I think the couple of biggest takeaways were, and we knew this was, Colston Loveland's really not doing much. It's all mental reps for him. He's standing there with his helmet, and that was obviously expected with the whole, shoulder injury and all that.
Right.
I think the biggest one was Ozzy Trapilo at left tackle. And it might have been not really a surprise, but like, it was the first time I got to see him out in the field. He's a massive human being. And you look at him, and I was curious to see where he would be working at. Pretty much 99% on the left side, doing left drills. He did a couple of drills on the right side, like doing that type of stuff. But I think their plan is they want to see what he is at left tackle. I'd advise moving Darnell Wright to left tackle. I think if you can keep Wright at right tackle, and Ozzy can give you something, he's going to have a leg up in the competition on Braxton Jones. Well, I don't want to say like a leg up, but he'll have a chance in this competition because Braxton Jones probably not going to be back until training camp. So it's going to be him and Kieran Amagaji. It's pretty much going to come down to one of those two against the experience of Braxton Jones. So I thought that was the biggest takeaway. One thing I'll note that I noticed that was a lot different was, man, these coaches are way more vocal, like a lot more vocal. Eric Bieniemy, Dan Rochar, Al Harris, the assistant offensive line coach. Like last year at practices, there were a couple of coaches that were, loud. This year, Jeremy Garrett as well, defensive line coach. They are on these players, and they're undrafted rookies, tryout players. They are on their asses, and I think that's going to be a good thing for the Bears. Moving forward, it kind of just feels like this coaching staff is not perfect, but like this coaching staff is here to coach, and we're not going to let any of this other stuff we see in the building over the last couple of years happen. If that kind
and,
of
and 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 it's a breath of fresh air. And again, I think Dennis Allen kind of
totally,
summed it up best with everything. Because again, everybody wants to push into the hype and the
yep,
hype machine and try and find the tea leaves that go into these few days where these players are getting the first taste of what the NFL is. And he says,
yeah,
obviously, rookie minicamp. I mean, we're just getting into the introduction phase of what we're doing with these young guys. So we're not going to get into a lot of instant reactions in terms of how everybody's doing. But I love this quote specifically from him where he says, right now, they don't know whether it's pumped or stuffed, in terms of the football and just in terms of what they know about the NFL at this point. And
yeah,
Dennis Allen, I mean, he's a no nonsense guy. I think that was more than evident with the Saints and when he was coaching with the Saints and even to his days with the Raiders. And then Eric Bieniemy, you mentioned the vocalness and just the in your face nature of that guy. Yes, he will rub a lot of people the wrong way, but you have to appreciate the tough love that he wants to really get a hardened shell on these guys to make sure they're ready for anything that comes at them and they're not going to crack under pressure by any stretch of the imagination.
yeah. I mean, he's there to coach. He's gonna be hard on guys, and it was rookies. He was yelling at the rookies to use a couple of viral clips out there from rookie minicamp. But yeah, like he's out there to coach these guys. He's out there to get the best from these guys, and you see it right away. And you can say what you want about Eric Bieniemy, but he gets on their asses, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I really liked how Dan Rochar coached out there on the offensive line. His assistant, I'm blanking on the name now. I'll have to look it up, but they were both just very vocal. Al Harris in the secondary getting after guys. Yeah, Jeremy Garrett in the defensive line. So it does feel like this coaching staff is like, I don't say like maybe more focused, but like, also like more like, okay, like we know what we have here. We know there's a lot of hype, but we have to turn that hype into results because they haven't accomplished anything yet. There's always hype around the Bears. We always feel the hype around the Bears, and they just haven't accomplished anything yet. So that was probably one of my biggest takeaways. I'm interested to see when they get kind of more into that 7-on-7, the 11-on-11 stuff. OTAs, they won't be hitting or anything like that. It won't be full pads until training camp, but there's gonna be a lot of competitions. And I think, to kind of segue into it, when Ben Johnson was asked by Brad Biggs about the strong side linebacker competition, which was a little interesting because, you're looking at what Dennis Allen does in the 4-3 defense. You still don't see a lot of that strong side linebacker. Like how many
Right.
snaps will a strong side linebacker play this year on the defense? Maybe just over 100, maybe, but maybe 150. But like you're gonna still see some disguises, and I think Ben Johnson named Noah Sewell. Well, Noah Sewell's a guy to kind of watch. Ruben Hippolyte, the rookie. Amen Ogun. I'm gonna butcher that name bad. He's a veteran that's in the mix, and then Carl Smith, I believe, out of UCLA, a second-year player, is in the mix as well. So I think we'll see Dennis Allen kind of use that strong side linebackers, maybe like a disguise on pass rush downs. He likes to bring the linebackers up to the line of scrimmage. But yeah, that was kind of interesting to hear him talk about that for a position that let's be real, you're not going to see a lot of this season in their base formations.
Yeah, and it's kind of the main unknown. I think Ruben Hippolyte understands specifically for the path that he has taken playing on a weaker defense in the Big Ten, being a mid to late round draft pick, and understanding that, yeah, Noah Sewell's there. But I think having that path, and it's interesting because TJ Edwards was similar in the fact there wasn't a lot of hype around TJ Edwards coming out of college, that there could be a good rapport there to build off of, that he is going to be playing next to somebody that went through something similar. And while, yes, like you mentioned, he's not going to be playing a ton of snaps, there will at least be a nice bridge there. I'm curious to see how that goes about. Noah Sewell, this is second year or third year?
Third year.
Third year. Yeah, I was going to
And
say.
he hasn't. I mean, he hasn't really played much either. He's
right.
it's been mainly special teams.
And that's the thing, is a lot of these guys that we're seeing this weekend, it's going to be the special teams play. What can they bring in that third phase?
Yeah.
And I feel like that always kind of goes unchecked with everything that we talk about with these rookies. And we just automatically think, who's going to be the day one guy that is contributing, doing his thing. And I mean, outside of maybe Trapilo, I'm really surprised he lined up as much as he did at left tackle. I really am.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
sure it'll
that
change,
was
though.
kind of I feel like that was kind of a tell, though, more
Yeah.
than anything else, that the fact that he was doing that so much. And a lot of the reports were saying he looked pretty good, but again, he's in shorts and a
Yeah.
t-shirt.
You
And
better
so
look good.
for
You don't look
his,
good at that, you're screwed.
yeah, exactly. And it's interesting. Again, he's got the pedigree. His dad played in the NFL for a handful of years. His biggest thing was, he's got that stiffer upright frame, but he's also 6'6" and 350 pounds. He is a monster of a human being, like you said. And frankly, I don't feel like the Bears have really had that on the offensive line uh, from a prospect perspective. That
Yeah.
it's been a shorter, more athletic, flexible line, and we saw how well that's worked. And the answer is it hasn't.
Yeah.
It's been riddled with problems, and now there's this new opportunity to kind of shift things in terms of the scheme that's coming forward and the type of players that Ryan Poles and his coaching staff is putting together on that line. And it's interesting to see that. Not only that, but again, it feels like a tell that we're going to see more of that in OTAs. And for those of you who want to pencil that in, OTAs May 20th through 22nd, 27th through 30th, June 9th through 11th. And there's a mandatory full squad minicamp June 3rd to 5th.
Yeah. So the 9th, the June 9th through 11th, one I bet you'll just be like rookies
only.
Yeah. Yeah, which they do now. I'm sure Trapilo will probably play a little on the right side too. They'll probably mix them in and out. I'm guessing, during OTAs, when they get Kieran out there and they get Darnell Wright out there, kind of staying in the trenches. The talk was Schmar Turner, where's he going to play? And, he talked, I believe he talked Friday, and he had the quote where he basically said, I'm here to do anything they want me to. I can play anywhere. He wants to get his weight to 300 or not get above 300, kind of get it below there. And then, Dennis Allen talks the next day and he's like, well, we want him to develop a defensive tackle before we start talking about, defensive end. And I think that kind of makes a lot of sense. Like a guy like him who did both in college, he's got the skill set to do a little bit of both, but you want to lock down a position and get him established as a defensive tackle first. And he can learn behind Andrew Billings. He can learn behind Grady Jarrett and kind of spell them in rotations. Then maybe, as the season goes on or as the reps go on, you get him a little more on the outside. You kind of give some exotic, different looks if you're Dennis Allen. So I think to me, he is one of the, I don't want to say he's I think he is a rookie to keep an eye on in terms of intrigue and being a difference maker right away. Like we could see Colston Loveland and Luther Burden. If he can come in and he can have a nice season on the defensive line, you solve some things. But I still think the Bears will need another pass rusher. That's a little bit of my worry going into this, year. But yeah, with Turner, I'm kind of curious to see how he develops a defensive tackle and how fast they give him, to get out there on defensive end and work both positions if he can.
And Dennis Allen speaking this of Schmar Turner, he's got the right temperament for what we're looking for. I think we'll have to put a saddle on him and break him a little bit.
Oh boy.
If that doesn't go to show, they saw all the same things that we saw on the tape, primarily him punching a guy in the crotch during a game, and just being a no limit type player. I mean, when he has more personal fouls on him in a given year than sacks,
Yeah.
probably not good. You want to focus that energy in at going after the QB. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little concerned about his overall style of play, with as much as the NFL likes to protect its quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's going to probably result in a couple of boneheaded plays over the course of his rookie season, maybe 2 years, because that's just
Yeah.
he is.
Well, what do you have? Like 6 personal fouls or something like that? 7,
Yeah.
6 or 7 last year. Yeah, I mean, he plays violent. He plays with that edge. He's made it clear. He said it. Like there is an edge to him that he plays with, and you kind of need one of those guys in your defensive line, I think. But like you said, I mean, with the rules now with the quarterbacks and how you can hit them, and the refs always essentially going after a second guy in a scrum, he's got to be careful because that's the quickest way for a rookie to get his ass on the bench, But I think with Dennis Allen, with Jeremy Garrett, with veterans around him, I think it'll happen once and they'll say, all right, like that's it. It's all we can, 15-yard penalty. It's all we can handle right now. So,
Right.
yeah, no, I like the edge that he plays with. I think this team needed more of that. I just felt like they were just too like lackadaisical last year, where once Andrew Billings got hurt, it was like, okay, who's a leader on this line? Who's going to step up? Because Billings kind of plays with that edge to him as well. So not violent or anything like Turner, but he's kind of got a little bit of an edge to his game.
Yeah, and honestly, you could even say the same about Grady Jarrett. While he, doesn't necessarily have the size. I mean, he's a pit bull there in the trenches and has been known to really rile folks up. So, I mean, that's another, piece to the puzzle is, okay, are putting that many of the same style and mentality of players a good thing? Or is this going to be a recipe for disaster? And I'm sure Dennis Allen is feeling very excited about this because obviously Dennis Allen is a very physical type defensive coordinator in terms of the style of play he expects on the field. And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think he's not going to put up with the nonsense by any means. So,
Yeah.
The more I think about it, though, with that many in your face players at one specific position, and then you have guys like Montez Sweat and Dio Adengbo, it's just complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, you're relying on someone like Austin Booker to come in and give you production, and Dominique Robinson just got. It's not like I said. I still think they need another pass rusher. You're probably not going to pay Trey Hendrickson $100 million or anything like that.
He's back in the news again.
Yeah, he's back in the news. But I mean, do you think Ryan Pohl? I don't know. I don't see that happening. But like they need a pass rusher. They need another edge rusher. It kind of feels like someone like Zadarius Smith, might make sense. He's played for every NFC North team except for the Bears. So why not kind of wrap up your NFL career and do that? But yeah, I mean, as far as takeaways go for the rest of they're really honestly, man, like I hate to say, I don't want to make it a boring show, but there wasn't a whole lot. Like, Richard Hightower mentioned Luther Burden's in the mix to be a return man. We heard that last year with Roma Dunze and DJ Moore, and they both returned punts in practices. And Luther Burden will get out there in training camp, will return some punts. But yeah, I just think one of the biggest overall takeaways, and we keep going, was just rookie orientation, get to know each other, get them in the building, and then we're gonna go here full go. But I did want to note one thing. I thought something was pretty interesting was when Declan Doyle was talking about Caleb Williams. and he had the quote saying how he's in there late at night working, and his teammates kind of are feeling that and vibing off of that. I think that's great. That is obviously something you want your quarterback. And, the Bears have surrounded and invested in Caleb Williams. And now it's his time. He's got to invest back in them and prove that he's the guy. And if he is that big step year two, I mean, it's hard not to see it be a successful season for the Bears.
Yeah, it's definitely at a point where it's sink or swim. It was easy for a lot of folks to say that last year with them going up and not only drafting Caleb Williams and setting him up with Keenan Allen, but then getting Roma Dunze. And I think everybody kind of thought, okay, they got those. They got DeAndre Swift. Like, they're setting him up for success. And for as much as people don't want to admit it, he still had a very good statistical season as a rookie, even though he lived in the shadow of Jaden Daniels for their rookie seasons. It's now every single piece of the offense has now been upgraded. The offensive line, there are going to be no more excuses about taking the sacks. And that was one of the biggest pushes last year, was he took too many sacks. And yes, they led the league in sacks. And you can argue how many sacks were his fault, how many sacks were the line's fault. And I mean, that's clearly things on both ends need to be improved. So obviously upgrading 3, maybe 4 positions along the offensive line is going to change things. You get more youth and wide receivers in place. You get a new offensive minded head coach that has shown much success. He's made Jared Goff look like an incredible quarterback, which, I mean, that in itself is pretty darn impressive.
Yeah.
So all these things considered, it now becomes, and I guess I posed this question, is what is the acceptable performance at this point in time of the offseason that you would be okay with Caleb Williams statistically, just based on everything we've seen thus far?
I mean, I don't know. Statistically, it's tough because, like, obviously we want the 4,000-yard passer. You know what I mean?
But Chicago got a Pope before they got a 4,000-yard passer.
Well, here's the thing. Like, when you look at last year, what did Caleb have? I'm going to look. 5 interceptions, I think it was. 5 or 6. And he didn't turn the ball over. 20 touchdowns,
6 interceptions.
3,541 yards. And I felt at times like he just didn't want to make the mistake. He didn't want to force the football. But looking, who does he idolize? Who has he said he's idolized? Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Like a gunslinger type approach where Rodgers, was taking chances, but he was so damn good that he wasn't going to force the ball and have a lot of turnovers and interceptions. So I kind of want, I'd be fine in our 3,500 yard season. That'd be totally fine. 4,000, it'd be cool, but it's not the end of the world. Like, get those 27, 28, 29, 30 touchdowns, maybe a couple more interceptions. I'm fine with that because he's taking more risks. And, I think, like, obviously you want to avoid the disaster here, but I don't think we should be realistic going into this being like, yeah, Caleb's going to throw 40 touchdowns and, 10 or 7, like anything like that.
Right.
But I expect better than last year. I'd probably put him at something like 3,800 yards, 27, 28 touchdowns, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. And because this is the thing, is even just going back through his game log from last year. I mean, he had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 games. 9 games of 175 yards or less. And he still threw for 3,500 yards. I mean, that to me says if he doesn't hit 4,000 yards this year and stays healthy for the entire season, something has gone wrong.
Well, and he had more 300 passing yard games than Jaden Daniels did.
He had
And
4, right? Yeah, 4.
yeah, and Daniels had 1. You know what the one game was? The Hail Mary game. He didn't get it till the Hail Mary. So, but
Man.
that's not nothing to take away from Jaden Daniels. He was obviously
Right.
great. But yeah, with Caleb, it just felt like last year at times felt like a lot of the old Bears quarterbacks that we've been seeing for years. Like, we can't get over 200 yards. We're playing it safe. But he's also got to learn, like, you got to take the checkdowns at times. You could be aggressive, but if the checkdown's open, those short throws, take them. Those rack up. You complete 2 or 3 of those in a drive, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards each. There you go. I mean, you're racking it up. So, yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think so far it makes me feel comfortable.
And just alone the having that comfortability with the coaches and the energy that they're bringing to the field when they're just right now in a state of let's get their feet wet and
Yeah.
not necessarily like fully into the playbook like we'll
Yeah.
see with OTAs and starting to get a little bit more involved before we really fully get into training camp. Um, it is a good feeling. And I think it's hard not to feel good about that, all things considered. I'm oh man, I'm worried about how the schedule is going to lay out though on Wednesday, and I have a feeling the end of the season is going to be one of the bumpiest rides we could possibly ask for,
Oh,
and
like
I'm
last year, right?
hoping that I am absolutely wrong. But having Packers, Commanders, potentially Lions right after that,
Yeah.
if not the Vikings, unless they're
Vikings.
going to push. I doubt they're going to push both Packer games to the end of the season. That
No.
doesn't seem like
One, and I'm
the
guessing
play.
the other one you probably have to be early in the season.
Yeah, and
But they've done that in the past couple of years where they put the Bears and like Vikings within the first, or not within the first, but like with 2 games within 4 weeks, and I think they did the Lions like 2 games in 3 weeks too. So
they did.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even looking back, because they haven't really done a good job at cycling through all of the final week of the season setup either. I think they've played the Packers the last 2 week 18s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I mean, yeah, so the last 2 week 18s, it's been the Packers, and
Both
I,
at Lambeau too.
yeah, they got to get off of that Schneid. I don't know what the heck that is, but out the door. Don't want to see it
Yeah.
again.
Well, I think it's probably going to be Lions or Vikings in week 18.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's been a while since we've seen the Lions week 18,
Yeah.
and I think this might be the year that breaks it. But if it is, like I said, that's going to be a very tough end of the
Yeah.
schedule. Well, they'll probably be. Oh, I mean, I guess it depends if it is home or away. I mean, it's been a while since there's been a home game week 18 too. Now that
Let
I'm
me
coming to think
guess.
about it,
Hold on. It would
it's
have
been
to
it's been
be
like 4 years.
2020, right?
Is it 2020? I have to go back and look now.
Yeah, it might be 2020 because they backed into the playoffs. Remember?
Oh, it was okay. It was Minnesota 2022.
2020. Okay.
They lost 29-13.
Jeez.
That was a Nathan Peterman game.
Oh God. Oh my goodness.
Oh, the nightmares. You had
Yeah.
Trevor Simeon, you had
Oh
Nathan Peterman.
yeah. Nick Foles coming in against Seattle and having a hell of a game, calling his own plays essentially.
Jeez. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
it's a walk down nightmare lane when it's all said and done there. When you go through the last few years of the Bears, that is
Yeah.
for sure. But we will know for sure on Wednesday night, like we said earlier in the show. We are going to be here breaking down the 2025 schedule live and hopefully seeing, quite a few primetime games. It's always fun to get in front of the big lights and have some more eyes on all the hype and hopefully living up to the hype this year being a big part of it and for everything that the Bears are building. And we'll see if the NFL agrees in that way and seeing what they were able to do with Caleb Williams in year one and if he will indeed build to year two. Any parting thoughts for the mini camp outside of the discussions? I feel like I said, it was just kind of like,
That's it,
meh,
man.
that was
That's
it.
it. I wish I had more. That's all I got. Usually my notebooks are full, and it was just a couple lines, honestly. Yeah.
Now, Ben Johnson saying we're not here to fight for positions. We're just here to
Yeah, that's right.
get
No depth
everybody rolling.
chart. Yeah.
So we're not going to put more toppings on it than we need to. That's the joys of rookie minicamp. But again, next weekend, they're back at it with OTAs. So before you know it, it will be getting more and more real as the weeks roll on. So that's going to do it here for this episode of the Bear Report podcast. Talking all things, start of the schedule. And Bears rookie minicamp. We'll be back on Wednesdays. For Zach Pearson, I'm Steven Johnson. Thanks for hanging out with us and listening. And we'll talk to you on Wednesday. Take care.